I call the member for Longman.
Thank you, Deputy Speaker. This is my third election, and it was very different to the first two. The first two elections were fought on policy, never personal, and I acknowledge the previous candidates for their professionalism in this area. Unfortunately, this election was very personal from my Labor opponent. There were so many lies told about me, and she brought my children into the campaign, which both sides have always agreed is not on. My staff and volunteers were accused of bullying, which is simply untrue, but of course a little bit of mud always sticks, which my opponent of course knew and went ahead with anyway. For the first time I had call flute signs pulled down, and in many cases they were replaced with my Labor opponent signs. Now, of course, Deputy Speaker, the temptation is to fight fire with fire, and I could have pulled her signs down, but I chose not to. I was given some personal information on my opponent, which was pretty awful, but I chose not to use it because I want to be part of the solution, not part of the problem. Deputy Speaker, I've said from day one, I'd rather lose playing fair than win playing dirty, and it still sticks to this day. Now, we know part of politics is about calling out other politicians or candidates for bad policy, but it should never get personal, especially involving families. The other challenge that I had, which was a little bit unusual, was to put the Family First candidate last on my how to vote card. I had it all sorted out and ready to go, and then I was given some very damning information on this particular young man who I had actually met, and sadly he had come out and spoken in a terrible way about women, about the Jews. It was just awful, and he's obviously a confused young 19-year-old, and I took it very hard in having to make a decision again on whether to leak that for political gain or to just keep that to ourselves and not put this young man out there for the media to hammer. And we took the decision, I think the right decision, to just put him last on the ballot paper and not put him out there to be destroyed by the media, because they can be very, very hurtful. The problem was he was disendorsed by the party, and I thought, well, that solves that problem. But what had happened, the ballot papers were already printed and he still appeared as a Family First candidate. So then I had the Christian community saying to me, why are you putting a Christian last when you're a person of faith yourself? And then I had to explain it, and that was very difficult as well. So it was a pretty messy election, to be honest. But, you know, Deputy Speaker, we move on. And just for a little bit of history, I was very happy in small business before my political career began, and I'd reached the point of 50 years old, or young as I like to say, of getting to the stage where things had got a little bit easier than those early days in business. We had never navigated those difficult and costly first few years, where 70 to 80-hour weeks and running on fumes was the norm, and the two businesses I had ownership in, well, they were 10 years old, and they'd matured. And the temptation, of course, at this stage is just to cruise to retirement for the next 20 years and then do a bit of part-time work in the business in retirement. But, you know, I don't think I'll ever retire Deputy Speaker fully. But reflecting on how good this country had been to a kid who'd been raised in Kalanga and then moving slightly north to Caboolture, which are both very blue-collar, knockabout communities. You know, I left school at 15 and started work as a garage attendant, or a petrol pumper, as they used to call them in those days, and then spent the first 4 years of my life working full-time, working full-time on a minimum wage. So I understand what it's like to eat Vegemite toast for dinner, Deputy Speaker. But then I worked hard and ended up owning businesses and employing young people who are just like me. And I wanted to give back in another way to this country that had been so good to me, hence my run in politics. I'm also driven by the fact that kids, in particular, who aren't academic in many cases, feel like they are second-class citizens if they don't get a degree and they have no future. Well, I want to give them hope. I want them to know that they can make something of themselves, that they have value, and as much value as someone with a degree. I despise this hierarchical system that we've created in our society, where people in some vocations are considered by many as more important than others with other types of jobs simply because they earn more. Our monetary worth should never define our value to society or self-worth. How well we do our job, our behaviour and what we contribute should determine these things. We all have our place in society and we're all of equal value. regardless of our gender, sexuality, race, religion or our vocation. Of course, different vocations are remunerated in different ways, for many reasons. The market demands, the amount of sacrifice required through training and the amount of risk needed in each vocation, and that's fair enough. But to say that those on higher incomes are more valuable is just not right. The attendants in this place look after us politicians so well are just as valuable, and I thank you for your service. Deputy Speaker, being the member for Longman for 6 years, I've always visited and met the various community and sporting groups along with the City of Moreton Bay Council to find out the needs of the Longman community. I spent most of my life living in the Longman community, apart from a couple of stints away for work, and as a result, I know the community pretty well. So, as a result of these meetings and my experience there, I was pleased to obtain 27 election promises if the LNP had been elected on May 3rd. Sadly, Labor only made 2 of the same commitments, so that's 25 much-needed projects that will either not go ahead, be delayed, or have to be funded another way. It means that the Pine Rivers Cricket Club won't get their lights so they can expand their ever-growing junior and female sides, as there's not enough daylight to support extra teams. The Caboolture Football Club, or soccer if you want to call it, won't get their electronic scoreboard. North Pine Netball won't get their courts resurfaced. The Moodloo Men's Shed won't get their much-needed upgrades. The Bribie Island Surf Club may have to compromise on the size of their extensions to their clubhouse. The Caboolture Snakes Rugby League will have to wait longer for their new clubhouse. The kids who use the Ballara skate park on Bribie are disappointed. The Narangba Eagles will miss out on stage 2 of their clubhouse redevelopment. The Delaney's Creek Pony Club won't get their building upgrade. The Olympus Soldiers Hall will have to wait for its much-needed refurbishment. The Lindsay Road Sports Complex, Sandstone Point Community Complex, the Burpengary and Morayfield Community Halls, along with the Burpengary Pony Club and St Eugene's College, will all miss out on much-needed CCTV security cameras to protect community assets. No help with the toilet facilities at the Bribie Golf Club, or extra shade sales for the Bribie Bowls Club, or the new cabins at the Bribie Retreat and Recreation Centre, so more camps can be hosted. The Stanley Rivers Rugby League misses out on a much-needed clubhouse and change room upgrade as their female participation rate continues to grow. The Caboolture netball courts won't get the resurfacing so desperately needed, and the Narangba Crows AFL miss out on their lighting upgrade to LED. But the biggest commitment, Deputy Speaker, that I was able to obtain was the $74 million for Stage 1 of the much-needed Caboolture West Connectivity Initiative. As one of the fastest-growing communities in the country, these projects are vital for the Longman electorate, and the message the people of Longman got from Labor during the campaign is they simply don't care about the people of Longman. Now, it's not too late, Prime Minister. If you want to show the people of Longman that you do care, I'll only be too happy to discuss these projects with you and get them underway. But, Deputy Speaker, I'm going to continue to advocate for the people of Longman and work with the Crisafulli State Government and speak to them re a lot of these vital projects. These projects, things like the 4-laning of Morayfield Road. As I said, we are a very, very fast-growing community, and the infrastructure is simply not keeping up with the population growth. In the 6 years that I've been in this place, my electorate, the voting population has grown from 116,000 to 143,000 in just 6 years. So we have over 200,000 people in the electorate. So we need this infrastructure. Morayfield Road takes a lot of the burden when the Bruce Highway is congested on a Friday afternoon or a Sunday afternoon going to and from the Sunshine Coast, and having 2 lanes to 1 lane to 2 lanes is ridiculous. We need 4 lanes all the way from King Street in Caboolture right down to the highway. We need the acceleration of the timeline of the Bribie Island Road and the new bridge. 4-laning from the Bruce Highway to the bridge and then a new bridge. It's currently set for completion in 2039. Bribie has the oldest average population in Queensland, Deputy Speaker, so 2039 there might be a few people there that might not see the new bridge, sadly. So we need to bring that forward. It's a car park. The Bruce Highway must have 4 lanes from the Pine Rivers Bridge to the Bribie turnoff, and upgrades are needed at the Morayfield Human Road exit and exit 150 Buchanan Road, along with the 4 lanes and the flyover to Caboolture River Road. Now, I mentioned earlier the election promise I was able to get for $74 million, and this is needed because they've just started turning dirt on one housing estate in my electorate that is 25,000 homes, which will house 70,000 people. To put that in perspective, that's one housing estate that's the same size as the city of Mackay in central Queensland. And these people don't have a way to get to the Bruce Highway because many of them will be commuting to Brisbane for work. So this initiative that's been planned by the council will go from Caboolture River Road and the Morayfield Road intersection. There'll be a bridge that will be built over a shopping centre and a train line that will connect to a current 2-lane road, which needs to become 4 lanes, and then go out to the highway. I was so pleased to be able to get that promise, but now that it hasn't happened, the council won't have the money to be able to do it on their own. It's a big project for a local council, and that will delay the project another 3 years, unfortunately. I also spoke to TMR a couple of weeks ago in regards to the Bruce Highway, and I commend the LNP state government for speeding up this process on the Bruce Highway works, including the 4-laning from Dolly's Rocks Road right up to Bribie Island Road, as well as the extra work on the new exit that I mentioned earlier. The train crossings at Dakaban, Boundary Road, Narangba Station and Pumicestone Road must be upgraded urgently, as they were neglected by the former state Labor government and their local members for 9 long years. We just cannot cope. People are sitting and waiting for 2 or 3 light changes just to get across a train line, and it's simply not good enough. I grew up in the area, and I tell you that all these crossings are the same as they were back in the 1970s, when there was 6 people and a dog lived in some of these communities, and something needs to be done because there's a lot of people living there now. After 2 years of meetings, forums and development, I will present in October my solution to the Queensland LNP government to fix the homeless situation created by this government's irresponsible immigration policy. It's a solution that I've worked hard with state members from both sides of politics, also with local councils, organisations that are in the homelessness space, a lot of the charities and churches as well in the local community. And we've come up with a really great solution, and I think it's going to work. And I look forward to talking to the LNP state government about getting this going. I'd like to see something by the end of the year, because the homelessness in my community is horrific. I've never seen anything like it. When I drive around, I see all these tents and people living in cars, and they're working people. It's horrendous. In my maiden speech, I was positive, and Deputy Speaker, I remain so, despite the incredibly negative nature of politics. I've got a slogan on my billboards that says, "Terry Young gets things done," and I'm going to continue to get things done for my awesome community. Common sense, freedom and respect for all Australians' points of view and their right to have their own point of view, even if I don't agree with them personally, are ideals that I'll always adhere to in my role. I'll always try to give the people I serve hope, rather than trying to score political points by creating fear and anxiety. As long as I have the honour to serve in this role, I will try and inspire the next generation to have a go, sharing my personal journey with young ears, with both the successes and the failures that I've had in my life. Because young people need to know it's okay to fail. In fact, failure is not a final destination, but it's part of the journey to success, as we learn more lessons from our failures than our successes, and that develops resilience. I want to thank my volunteers for their commitment and hard work, not only during the campaign and nearly 3 weeks of counting on the vote, but their service during the term. I won't mention any names, as to miss one name would be an injustice. You all know who you are and the individual but vital role you played in the campaign. I also want to thank my staff for their commitment and hundreds of extra hours they do during the campaign, and their commitment to our great party and to me personally. I could not do this without you. A big shout out to my family and friends who support me, not just practically by handing out at a polling booth, even though a lot of them don't like doing that stuff, letterboxing and the like, but for your love and support during the most difficult and stressful of times. My wife Alex and youngest daughter Jess bear most of the load, as they are the ones who live with me. The others have all left home. So thank you, ladies. Lastly, thank you to the people of Longman for putting your trust in me for a 3rd consecutive term. As always, my door is always open to meet with you. And when you see me out and about, please come and say good day, because I'd love to meet you. I promise you I will I will work my hardest to ensure our community gets what it needs. I will continue to speak the truth and use common sense and my life experience to serve you and fulfil my vision to make Longman the greatest community in Australia to live, work and play. Thank you.
I now call